it was a huge shock, wasn't it, at the time? And yeah, that time in hospital was just, yeah, it was very hard seeing him like that. And
then we've had to be admitted since then. It's not like it was one time. It was even with all the management that we were like doing blood tests through the night, like when for the first year or so, like through the night, like getting up every few hours, like just because he was so small, and his blood sugar was just so constantly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the great things about the closed loop is the nighttime thing, and and that thing of just not, you know, before the closed loop, of just not knowing what he was at night and what his levels were, and just being actually just being able to look at your phone and just check, just make sure he's okay.
So that's what, if you see Tim looking sideways, he's not checking his text, he's getting alerts on because Leon's a little bit slow, he's a little bit low right now. But so that's the thing, you can multitask slightly like that. So we both have apps, and other family members have got the Diascend, and so everyone can kind of keep an eye on it now. And it's been life-changing, and I'm so grateful for our family getting the opportunity. And I just, everyone's been so kind, so thank you, everybody. But we if I was able to recommend it to people who've got the opportunity, I would 100% recommend it, because it's not perfect, but nothing can be perfect. Like you were just saying about, there is no 100% in the green zone, but even if the levels are crazy, you've got that data in front of you. It's no longer just like kind of guesswork as to what's going on. And when you do have a young child like under 5, or even like going up to like 7 or 8, like that kind of the age of before they have kind of a little bit more kind of control over themselves, you can't imagine how much energy they're putting into doing their jumping up and down, or how their body's going to digest their dinner, like, because it's so unknown, isn't it? Like, no, you can't magically like know anything about them. You can just see what's going on. And our son, he doesn't have clear hypos or hypers. He just doesn't really show them so much. So he would be tipping into hypo on the machine now that we have, and we can catch it and we can make sure that he's okay, but we wouldn't know from his behavior, because he still runs around crazy, and then he just goes, and by that point it's too late. So anyway, so I don't want to like keep going on, but it's I would 100% recommend it. It won't fix everything, but it will like absolutely change your peace of mind and add a level back into your family life that maybe you thought you could never have again.
My daughter's on CamAPS, and I cannot overstate how much it has improved our lives. The thing I love most about it is that, unlike the other closed loops on the market, you don't need to tell the system what you think the basal rate and the correction factor is, because the system works it out for you. So for the other closed loops on the market, you have to put in the basal and you have to put in the correction factor. And if you get those wrong, the algorithms will do their best to help you, but they won't work as well. But CamAPS doesn't care what I think the basal rate is. And I love the fact that it is not remotely interested in my opinion, because it knows it can do it better than I can. And that's brilliant for 3 reasons. So the first reason is that it means that the basal rates and the correction factors are much more likely to be right, because getting them right is a process of trial and error. And because obviously computers are much better than us at trial and error, of course, a clever algorithm is going to be much better than us at working out what the basal rate and what the correction factor is. The second thing is that basal rates and correction factors change. So even if you've been extremely meticulous and you've slaved away and done rigorous testing and you are absolutely confident that you've got them right, how often do you retest? Do you do it every month? Do you do it every year? Have you done it once ever? Well, CamAPS is testing it all the time. So every 5 minutes it gets a reading, and it uses that reading to reassess whether it's right. So when the basal requirements change and when the correction factors change, you don't even notice, because CamAPS is quietly working it out in the background and sorting out for you. But the third reason, and for me, the most important reason that I love it by absolute miles, is that because I'm no longer responsible for working out these things, I never need to think to myself, is the basal right? Is the correction factor right? And that is an absolutely massive weight lifted off my shoulders. and a huge reduction in how much time I spend thinking about diabetes. So I don't want to pretend that diabetes disappears with CamAPS. It doesn't. But the amount of mental energy that it takes is much, much less. And it's no exaggeration to say it has completely changed our lives.
Hello, our son Wyn, now aged 13 and diagnosed almost 6 years ago, has been using the CamAPS FX for nearly 5 months, and I can honestly say it's transformed the way we live. Previous to that, he was on multiple daily injections, often needing 10 a day to keep his blood glucose in range, and included up to 3 interventions from us overnight. Wyn has been the one that's benefited the most, with hugely reduced diabetes management needed. In fact, I'd say the less you do, the better the system is. Wyn's time in range has improved, his HbA1c has improved with far fewer hypos and a reduction in total daily insulin requirements. As you can imagine, we're delighted. CamAPS FX has benefited the whole family too. The emotional and physical strain of type 1 diabetes on the entire family should not be underestimated. CamAPS FX doesn't take diabetes away, but it greatly reduces the impact and management needed, allowing a type 1 diabetic to live a far more normal life and an ability to take on new opportunities without the constant burden of diabetes management. It's very difficult to truly express how transformational the last 5 months have been. We've always wanted Wyn to have the same freedoms as his 3 brothers, and now he can. Our sincere hope is that more type 1 diabetics will have access to this fabulous system, which will undoubtedly improve their lives now and in the future. Thank you.
But then had 2 weeks on CamAPS before I started chemo, and I must say that first week of using CamAPS and the chemo, it was an absolute dream. So I changed my personal glucose settings down to 4.5 because I thought that the algorithm would make the algorithm work a bit harder to get it to that point. I had boost on for sort of 48 hours, and yeah, I think I only went above 14 for about 20 minutes in that first week, which I was so impressed with. I said to my consultant, if I can get 50% in single figures in that first week of having the chemo and the steroids, I would be delighted. So the fact that first week I didn't really worry about what my blood glucose was doing, and it just allowed me to just, well, basically sleep. That first week after chemo, all I do is sleep and eat a little bit, but it's basically sleep. And there's no worry about having to mess about with temporary basal rates and correction doses, because I know, and especially the correction doses, not doing that was just amazing, because I think it's so easy to overcorrect and sort of and deal, and sort of then it will all go horribly wrong. So it was really good. And then the second cycle, it was probably even better, and I think I was 75% time in range for that week after chemo, with me doing very little. So I did exactly the same things that I did in the first cycle, and occasionally I might have given myself a little, an odd unit here and there if I think, it looks like it could do with coming down a little bit. But generally, it just did it all for me, which allowed me to think about other things and not to have to worry about diabetes. It was like a little bit like a diabetes holiday, which was exactly what I need, so I don't have to worry about it all the time.
But what I've noticed is, out of the box, it just works. And in fact, I'm getting results at least as good as I was getting with Android APS, if not better, without even using any of the other functionality within CamAPS, like Boost or Ease Off. And I'm already getting results over 90% time in range. And the other benefit I'm finding with it is the sheer mental load of not, you build this confidence, I think, with a tool that just grows. And one of the benefits of that is you just let it get on with it. So you win your life back in that sense. It's been brilliant.